Welcome everyone to our web event, Big Data Integration, Achieving Positive ROI in the Era of Exponential Data Growth, sponsored by SyncSort. SyncSort is a leading provider of high-performance data integration solutions and the market leader in high-performance sort solutions for mainframe and open system environments. I'm Ron Powell, Editorial Director and Associate Publisher of the BI Network, a part of TechTarget, and I will be the moderator for this event. Our presentation features Sebastian Selhorst and Noah Johanna from Forrester Research and Jorge Lopez from SyncSort. Sebastian is a consultant for Forrester's Total Economic Impact Products and Services Group, and he has more than 10 years of professional experience in the telecommunications and IT services industry. Noel is Principal Analyst at Forrester Research, serving applications development and delivery professionals. He has more than 20 years of experience in IT and has vast experience in implementing and supporting leading DBMSs and data management products. Jorge is the Senior Manager of Data Integration at SyncSort and is responsible for data integration, product marketing, and strategy. He has more than 12 years of experience in business intelligence, performance, and scalability. Big data can have big benefits for your organization's bottom line, but conventional approaches for keeping up with growing data volumes can quickly become cost prohibitive and unsustainable. To avoid the big costs of big data, it's important to carefully evaluate big data integration solutions so you can choose the one that will get the job done for you with the best ROI. In this web seminar, you'll learn about the capabilities of SyncSort DM Express, followed by an explanation of Forrester's Total Economic Impact Framework and how it can be used to identify high ROI data integration solutions for your organization. You'll also hear an overview of Forrester's analysis of DM Express, including financial results and customer interview highlights. We will also have time at the end of this web seminar for questions. Please feel free to submit your questions at any time during the event. If you'd like a specific person to answer your question, don't forget to include that person's name when you submit your question. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jorge for his presentation. Jorge?
Thank you, Ron. Hello, everyone, and thanks again for tuning into this webinar, where we'll talk about one of the most prominent challenges in the era of big data. So before we get started, I would like to tell you a little bit about SyncSort. We are a company with over 40 years of experience providing high-performance solutions in the data integration as well as the data protection space. And as some of you may know or may remember from back in the day, we started out on the mainframe world, and we quickly became the market leader in high-performance sort. I mean, if you think about it, back then, if you had a big data problem, you would use basically the mainframe to solve it, and chances are that you will run SyncSort on the mainframe. So more than 10 years ago, we ported our solution to the open systems. And today, thousands of organizations in more than 68 countries use DM Express, our open system products, to integrate, to optimize, and migrate data with maximum performance. So why the total economic impact? Well, at SyncSort, we feel that there are basically two key factors that are combining and are pushing costs higher and higher and are also causing longer development cycles. The first factor is big data. And when we talk about big data, it's important to recognize that it's not only about data volumes, but big data is also about velocity and variety. The fact is that new data coming from a huge variety of sources like mobile devices, social media, and the cloud is being created faster than ever before, and this is also causing batch windows to shrink dramatically. Now, this combination of volume, velocity, and variety has made more obvious the shortcomings of conventional DI solutions, which takes me to the second factor. Most conventional DI solutions are not designed for performance. Therefore, they are not only expensive, but difficult to maintain and to scale. But the fact is that IT teams need to support the needs of the business. They must comply with their service level agreements. Therefore, they are forced to implement suboptimal workarounds that may work in the short term, but they often prove to be extremely expensive, unproductive, and unsustainable in the long term. So what many organizations do is that they start by fine-tuning their most expensive transformations, and that's when you start shifting your most experienced and highest skilled resources from value-added activities to tune specific areas of the system. And the fact is that this activity consumes a lot of valuable IT resources for really no net gain to the business. Now, at some point, tuning a lot is not enough, and most likely other initiatives start to delay. So the next common answer to this problem is to add more hardware. So we start creating these enormous clusters of servers to get the job done. Unfortunately, in most cases, data is growing a lot faster than computing power, and the fact is that also with more hardware, you also get other problems, such as the need for more data center space, more power and cooling costs, maintenance, software licenses, etc. So after a while, people may realize they cannot hardware their way out of this problem. And that's when they take matters into their own hands and start hand-coding SQL routines, pushing transformations out of the ETL tool and into the databases. And at this point is basically like taking a huge step back in time and basically neglecting the purpose of having an ETL tool. So what can we do with that? Basically, at SyncSort, we believe that the solution to the problem must include 4 fundamental principles. The first one is to increase performance. We need to attack the root of the problem. We cannot just keep throwing hardware at the problem. Therefore, the ETL tool must provide a high-performance engine with smarter algorithms that cope with exponential data growth. And we also need to start thinking about performance in strategic rather than tactical terms. The next thing is to improve efficiency. The objective here is to optimize hardware resource utilization in order to minimize infrastructure costs and complexity. Then we also need simple tools that are easy to use. And this simplicity should be true throughout the entire development life cycle, from install to development to production to ongoing tuning and maintenance. And by doing that, we can effectively raise the productivity. Basically, we do less and get more. And finally, it's a combination of all these factors that can help organizations reduce costs. In the end, the idea is that faster performance with lower costs can enable your organization to leverage big data for competitive advantage. And not surprisingly, these are exactly the same design principles of DM Express. DM Express is a family of high-performance and purpose-built data integration tools that can help you integrate, optimize, and migrate data. So our solutions include a wide range of solutions for high-performance ETL, for instance, for core ETL processing. They also include data integration optimization, which helps organizations who already have Informatica or data stage to leverage those investments while keeping infrastructure costs down and staff productivity high. And these solutions even include Hadoop optimizations And for instance, we also include mainframe. We also have solutions for mainframe. And that's a very interesting fact about SyncSort. How many companies you've seen that can display mainframe and Hadoop on the same slide? Well, the reality is that SyncSort made a name saving millions of dollars to mainframe users by accelerating performance and reducing resource utilization. Well, you can find some common denominators here. Big data volumes, fast performance, high efficiency, and lower TCO. And those are the same principles that apply to the mainframe and now apply also to the open systems and even to Hadoop deployments. So how exactly is that we reduce costs? Well, we reduce costs by a combination of three factors. That those are performance, efficiency, and ease of use. High performance by providing a platform that can perform 4 times, 5 times, sometimes even up to 20 times faster than any other conventional DI tools or techniques. Also by providing a tool that is highly efficient. So we provide that level of performance, but also we provide that performance with significantly less CPU utilization, less memory utilization, and requiring also much less storage in the range from 75% to 83%. And of course, we provide a tool that is very easy to use. And when we talk about ease of use, what most companies do is that they refer to it in terms of a nice user interface, but they stop short of mentioning many other aspects that are equally or even more important when it comes to productivity and costs. The first of those aspects is the architecture. SyncSort provides a single, highly optimized ETL engine with minimum footprint. That means that the tool is very, very easy to install. It installs in minutes as opposed to hours. But it also talks to how easy to learn, how easy it is to learn the tool and to deploy the tool, which takes me to the second aspect. While most tools require hundreds of design components to build business rules and data transformations, in SyncSort, we facilitate development by providing a reduced number of very simple components that can be reused and combined to create all the transformations that you need. And finally, the third aspect, which is probably the single most important aspect, is the fact that SyncSort has a self-tuning ETL engine. That means that you can focus your development on designing the business rules, and once you're done for good. You don't need to do any additional tuning once you move into production. All of that is automatic. The tool automatically optimizes performance based on the specifics of the environment, including hardware resources, type and number of transformations, data types, data volumes, etc. So this basically means that you will always get maximum sustainable performance, so you can, again, focus on designing for the business, not for performance. Okay, so by providing that a tool that is fast, that it's efficient and simple, we can help organizations significantly reduce the cost structure of their data integration environments. But I will let Noel and Sebastian talk more about the economic impact of DM Express. I'll just say that as you will see in the report, costs are only one part of the equation. The reality is that DM Express can have a tremendous impact across the entire enterprise. And just to show you that, I put together this slide where we divide the benefits into 3 buckets. The operational benefits, such as allowing IT departments to efficiently scale, to process more data in less time, with less infrastructure overhead, financial benefits like delivering measurable savings in terms of TCO, and also enabling greater ROI from existing investments. And of course, those benefits directly related to the business, which overall translate in the ability to uncover new revenue, generating opportunities, and also making better business decisions. So with that in mind, I would like to leave you with Noel Johanna from Forrester Research, who will lay out the context for the Total Economic Impact Report. So Noel?
Yeah, thanks for having me on this webinar. It's great to be here. Sebastian and myself are going to be talking about the total economic impact. And this is actually a study we did for SingSort on the value of SingSort and the ROI of SingSort. Before that, let me, look into what are the various scenarios to deal with SingSort, technologies as well as ETL technologies. The agenda we have, is the ETL trends and challenges. I'll talk about the ETL trends we see in the industry. We've done surveys end of last year on ETL data integration, about what the benefits of ETL data integration, as also what kind of benefits they see in the long term as well. Sebastian will then run through the total economic impact study, which we did, the key findings around that, and the conclusion and ROI information. So this is a study, or rather a research survey we did end of last year. We wanted to find out actually what is the data integration maturity level for organizations. So we did this across all the vertical industries. We did this for moderate to large enterprises, and we looked at what are things they're doing with ETL integration and how mature they are. If we look at the maturity level, we classify them into low, average, high, and very high. Very high being shared services for data integration, having a single ETL platform. That's very high, actually. And the lowest being when you're doing custom coding, actually, scripts. You're writing scripts to do ETL data movement, which obviously is a lot challenging, I would say. What's interesting from this survey we did, most of the people are on average scale. They have departmental ETL tools, but yet have skilled and resources available if needed. So there are multiple of these scenarios and ETL tools, which obviously is a bit more complex to deliver and to support. So this is definitely where most of the people today are actually in terms of implementation. Another survey we did, which was towards the, end of last year, we asked actually, what are you using currently the ETL tools for, right? And this is again a survey we did for moderate to large enterprises. And what's interesting is 90% of people using ETL data integration tools are using it for batch loading into data warehouses or BI platform. So that hasn't changed for decades, actually. I do know that organizations have reduced the batch windows for many years, right? 10 years ago, you used to have 24-hour windows going on for batch. They're down to like 3-hour window or down to 1-hour window. In fact, if you look the next option, real-time and near real-time integration, 50% of the organizations are now doing real-time, near real-time integration. That's amazing, I guess, And if we were to look at the historical surveys, this number has doubled over the last 4 years. It was almost like 25% of people were doing real-time actually 4 years ago. And this number actually is pretty significant. And I think most, in fact, not all organizations will be doing real-time in the next 4 years from now. So that's a very interesting survey which we find. And the real need for this real-time is being able to share information across different processes and applications, and also mobile applications, right? You have your iPads and iPhones. You need data, real-time data coming in together. So definitely, real-time is definitely the big drive we have seen most organizations looking towards. Also, what's interesting is what are the new drivers and trends for data integration and ETL? Now, this is a list of things, what we see when we interact with customers and vendors alike. What we see is the growing data volumes and velocity is putting a pressure on enterprises. Most organizations today have terabytes of databases. In fact, 70% of enterprises today have more than 1 terabyte database today. That's very interesting, actually. If you look at terabyte databases, they weren't there 10 years ago, actually, or even 7 years ago, as many of those. But today it's very common. And you're dealing with large volumes of data growth, whether it's structured data or unstructured data. And the biggest problem is, how do you manage this terabytes and petabytes of data, especially with data movement, data integration scenarios for data warehouses. Like one customer was mentioning, we are now struggling with data movement between our source systems, transactional systems into warehouses. So this is definitely, we are seeing this very common across many organizations. There's an increasing demand for integration across the mid-market and SMB as well. We thought that only large organizations were dealing with large volumes of data. It's not the case. Even the mid-market and SMB are now dealing with data explosion. And also have many different hundreds of sources of data, not just one database running. Now people have hundreds of databases also in their organizations. This is a big trend we have seen. The third big trend, I guess, is integration with big data. And I think this is important. And I think the fact that most organizations are now getting into big data implementations, now you really have to look at Hadoop and how does ETL, data integration, integrate with big data. That's important because at the end, you just don't want a solution that doesn't integrate with Hadoop or other technologies which are big data oriented. You want to make leverage around those. The demand for real-time integration, as I mentioned earlier on, has grown significantly over the years, and this will continue to grow in the coming years. There's definitely a need for integrating with the cloud. Cloud could be the Amazon, Rackspace, or software as a service, SaaS providers like Salesforce, or even cloud databases like Microsoft Azure or Amazon DynamoDB or other types of cloud databases as well. So definitely we've seen a trend around integrating on-premise with the cloud and vice versa. This will start to evolve further in the coming years. Most organizations are moving away from the scripts and to more solution-oriented focus because organizations are struggling with scripts. I know some organizations have many scripts, and at the end, some of these scripts fail all the time. So you want to look at a solution. So definitely, solutions definitely help in automation and reliable platform. And data integration continues beyond ETL and data warehouses. I mean, if you look at data integration, it is doing a lot more today than ever before. Not just creating warehouses, but also doing database migrations, database consolidation, version upgrades, and what have you. And also, I think the need to do more with less is a big trend. I think we see organizations struggle with the budget, right? I mean, and you want to make sure you have the best tools today. The tools that can be enterprise-wide, the tools that have the best ROI and TCO. So this is very important because the fact that you want to have a solution that really can be more effective in an organization, not only from the value it delivers, but also from the cost perspective. I guess the the other things we see is the expanded role for ETL and data integration, such as more sources of data, big data issues, real-time data growth, and cloud integration obviously creates new challenges and cost issues, right? So how do you really keep up with all these requirements, right? Data integration requirements are changing because of these big data issues, because of these more sources of data, because of the fact that you have real-time data integration requirements, right? So definitely it creates a bigger challenge and also cost concerns. Integrating, I guess, 2 or 3 transactional systems did not pose any problems, I guess, right? But then when you start to integrate hundreds of sources, this can become a nightmare. So definitely most organizations are heading towards this whole integrating hundreds of sources. And you have to be cost conscious about those things. Because when you scale out into many databases and warehouses, the costs start to escalate, you know. So definitely cost concern is going to be huge. And also manageability, and also the performance and the scalability. I mean, those things are definitely important as well. What we have seen organizations do is to look for an enterprise-wide ETL strategy, not just focusing on departmental level, which is more average focus, but they want to become more mature in terms of its ETL assessment or data integration assessment levels. Having a more mature model, which is more enterprise-wide focus, which I think is gaining grounds today. ETL solutions in the market today help in automation, in ensuring security, ensuring better agility, utilizing newer architectures, which I think is pretty powerful, I guess, you know. I mean, if you look at solutions that can help innovate, has becoming very, very important. And solutions actually, you know, these ETL solutions can have lots and lots of value in terms of exploiting the cloud, exploiting the multi-core architectures, as well as delivering higher performance of these things. I guess, you know, the biggest challenge in our IT organizations today is IT budget. I talked about, you know, and this is definitely putting a pressure, which is why we believe the enterprises are looking for a solution that not only meets the requirements, such as solving the big data issues for integration or data volume growth issues or real-time data integration issues, but also having the best ROI, TCO, to help them save money, actually. So this is very, very important. And with that, actually, let me hand it over to Sebastian, who will talk you through about the TEI study, which we did for SingSort.
Yeah, thank you, Noel. I think you're right. The return on investment plays an important part in these decisions. And I think that's why SingSort asked us, Forrester, to go out and interview their customers and evaluate the potential ROI a typical customer could achieve with the deployment of DM Express. So today I'm going to present you with the findings of our financial case study. But before I do this, let me say a few words about our total economic impact methodology and the approach we took in order to build this particular business case around DM Express. So what is the total economic impact, or in short, we call it TEI? It's basically Forrester's return on investment methodology. So the graphic here at the bottom shows the different components of a total economic impact. TEI does not only look at the total cost of ownership of a given investment, but wants to provide a complete economic picture of a technology investment. In addition to cost and cost savings, we also look at all areas where value has been created and where options for realizing future benefits might have been created, which we call flexibility. The risk component is here is used as a filter to capture uncertainty surrounding the cost and benefit estimates. Risk adjustment makes the numbers more conservative and should be taken as realistic expectations. So the 4 components of cost, benefit, flexibility, and risk together form the total economic impact. Forrester has been doing TEI case studies for more than 10 years. These studies are commissioned both by end users to help them determine the potential ROI of planned technology investments, and by technology vendors such as SingSort to demonstrate the potential ROI of their products or services And the purpose of such a study is to provide readers with a framework to evaluate the potential financial impact of a technology investment on their organizations. So in this case, the investment in deploying DM Express. What was the process that we went through in order to create this particular business case? So after some due diligence about the product, that is DM Express, and the ETL tool market in general, we conducted in-depth interviews with 4 existing SyncSource customers who had deployed and were using DM Express in production for more than 6 months to determine the cost and the benefits that they experienced. Customers for these interviews were provided by SyncSource, and we interviewed a global private investment company with more than $600 billion in asset under management, a large insurance company based in the US with more than 1,000 employees, a large software development and publishing company based in the US, and another Fortune 1000 financial service company also based in the US. Based on these characteristics of these interviewed organizations, we designed a composite organization and created a financial model and applied the data obtained from the customer interviews to this model. Then using this model, we wrote the case study which described the business case for our composite organization. And additionally, we built an Excel-based ROI tool that can be used to adjust the cost and benefit assumptions from the case study in order to create a more personalized business case. So let me tell you a little bit about what the SyncSource customers told us. With us, I mean Forrester. All of the interviewed organizations had similar issues with regard to their existing data integration environment. They were all dealing with large amounts of data and considered that most of their ETL processes were taking too much time. Some organizations reported that they struggled to meet the service level agreements that they had with the business. They also had scalability issues. They had considerable year-on-year data growth rates, but as the batch windows do not grow at the same time, these companies had either to add more and more hardware, software and human resources to cope with the increasing amount of data, or had to look for an alternative solution. And they had flexibility issues. Most of the interviewed organizations consider that they wasted lots of effort in maintaining and tuning the legacy DI environment. So the common business objectives for deploying DM Express were to increase the performance and save time on regular batch cycles, and reduce time and effort of maintaining and tuning the DI environment. And what did the interviews tell us specifically about their experience with DM Express? Each of them pointed out that the short time it took to actually install DM Express in their environment and to get up to speed. The different interviews reported over project durations ranging from a few days to 2 weeks. The improved performance in extracting, transforming, and loading large amounts of data was considered as one of the main benefits. The interviews cited examples of batch jobs that were now running 4 to 10 times faster than with their previous DI environment. In addition to the improved performance, most of the interviewed companies pointed out that DM Express takes workload out of the database and does not need a staging environment, which resulted in hard IT cost savings for them. Also, when compared to their legacy DI environments, the administration of the DM Express platform, as well as tuning and development efforts, were generally considered as being more efficient and less time-consuming. And finally, most of the interviewed organizations also mentioned that the DM Express environment is using fewer hardware resources such as CPU and memory compared with their previous ETL tools. Based on the interviews with these 4 SyncSource customers, we created what we call a composite organization in order to tell the business case of what could be a typical customer scenario. So in this case, our composite organization represents a large provider of digital marketing technology and services based in the US. The company assists its clients in launching online advertising and marketing campaigns through multiple online channels, including social media. It also provides detailed analytics on campaign reach, performance, and demographics. The company's data warehouse contains 25 terabytes of data with an average annual data growth rate of 20%. On average, 100 gigabytes of data is being moved from transactional systems into the data warehouse on a daily basis, using manual scripts. Because of steadily growing data volumes and fixed batch windows, the company came to a point where it could not handle the throughput requirements anymore. A lot of processing was already pushed into the database. The company's database administrators were spending more and more time on tuning existing scripts, and the IT department had to periodically add computing power in order to cope with the growing data volumes. And that's why they then decided to invest in DM Express. And now let's look at the key findings of our case study. I'll show you the total cost of this investment for our composite organization. I'll talk about the benefits realized by this organization, and I'll explain how we accounted for uncertainty in this business case. The slides here resume the total cost of this investment over 3 years for our composite organization. So what you see, the DM Express license fees represent about 79% of the total 3-year costs in our case. Here we assume a 3-year term license for a mid-range Unix server with 8 cores. So term license is not the only way you can engage with DM Express, but this is what we used here. And it means that the company pays the license and maintenance fees upfront for 3 years. The professional service costs of about $20,000 include assistance for the initial deployment, assistance with the migration of the manual scripts, and a 1-day DI developer training course. They represent 12% of the total cost. And finally, internal implementation costs represent about 9% of the total cost. Here we assumed a team of 2 DBAs, 1 business analyst, and some project management overhead for about 2 weeks. You might find this rather low, but this actually corresponds to what the interviews had told us. I mean, very short implementation times. So the total cost of this investment have a 3-year present value of about $166,000. So having examined the cost, now let's look at the benefits that our composite organization achieved due to DM Express. On the benefit side, our composite organization was able to eliminate the data staging area that was previously required to move data from the transactional systems to the data warehouse. This is no longer needed, and the company saves maintenance costs for the staging server and the database, but also reduces the required and steadily growing storage space. With our assumptions, this benefit had the total 3-year present value of about $160,000. The second benefit is around deferred hardware investments. The interviewed organizations reported that DM Express has a very efficient use of computing resources such as CPU and memory. 3 of them indicated that this allowed them to defer investments in additional servers. In our case, we assumed that the composite organization avoids purchasing 1 additional server in year 1 and another server in year 3 of the analysis. Assuming the cost of a mid-range Unix server to about $50,000 and 20% of annual maintenance cost, this benefit has a total 3-year present value of about $115,000. The third benefit is around improved DBA or DI developer productivity. We assumed that before the deployment of DM Express, 2 of the company's DI developers spent about 25% of the time in writing, maintaining, and tuning the existing scripts to move data from transactional systems to the data warehouse. So with DM Express, they now save 75% of this time that they can spend on more value-add projects. Forrester here conservatively assumes that only 80% of the time saved by the developers will be converted into productive output. This benefit has a total 3-year present value of about $93,000. Here we assume that these tasks are done internally, but companies that had outsourced these tasks to a third party may of course realize comparable cost savings in this area. And finally, we also wanted to include some kind of business benefit because we think that this is an important part of the DM Express value proposition. As you can imagine, there are many different ways a company could benefit from quicker access to more data. So in our scenario, we propose a conservative estimation based on productivity gains for business end users. We assume that prior to the DM Express deployment, 15 business users of the composite organization had to spend on average half an hour per day on manually gathering and matching data from different sources. At that time, an automatic daily extraction was impossible due to performance issues. However, DM Express solved these performance issues, and the business users now only spend a few minutes to access the new reports. This corresponds to a time savings of about 90%. Again, in this analysis, we assume that only 80% of this time saved will be converted into productive output, and this benefit has a total 3-year present value of about $222,000 in our case. So here's the total of the quantifiable benefits of our composite organization. The total present value of the benefits is about $590,000. These were the benefits of our composite organization. While we think that these types of benefits are applicable to a large number of companies which face similar challenges as our composite organization, the magnitude, of course, might vary. And here are some of the influencing factors we think. The first one that springs to mind is the volume of data. So companies that are managing real large data warehouses and have to move large amounts of data on a daily basis are likely to gain more benefits from DM Express than companies with limited needs in this area. The second one would be about the batch window size. So limited batch windows combined with steadily growing data volumes create scalability issues. Companies that struggle with these issues and start allocating more and more technical and human resources to cope with this situation are likely to benefit more from the investment in DM Express. The ability or not to eliminate the staging area is another one. The composite organization here, in our case, described is able to decommission its data staging area completely. However, there also might be multiple reasons why a company might choose to keep it. On the other hand, organizations that have a staging area that is running close to its capacity may gain additional savings by deferring the purchase of further database licenses and servers, which we did not include in this particular business case. And finally, you could think of all kinds of new business opportunities. As already said, the impact of DM Express on the business may be highly variable by company. You might think of reports that might be produced in more near real time, executives who might gain more detailed insights and make more informed decisions, or your company might even be able to create entirely new revenue streams, and you might want to factor this in if you're doing a business case for your company. So we talked about costs and benefits, and now risk adjustments are the final important component of our TEI methodology. With the risk component, we try to capture some of the uncertainties with regard to the different cost and benefit estimates. Risk-adjusted numbers should be taken as more realistic expectations. They usually raise the original cost estimates and reduce the original benefit estimates. But without going into the detail, this table gives you an overview about the level of risk adjustments for the different cost and benefit estimates that we did. Basically, what you will see is that we increased the original cost estimates by 1 to 8%, and that we reduced the original benefit estimates by 6 to 10%. And so what the overall ROI for a composite organization's investment in DM Express? So we saw that our composite organization improved productivity for its business users and DI developers, or DBAs, realized IT cost savings, and deferred hardware investments. In our case, the 3-year risk-adjusted ROI is 221%, a payback period of 9 months, and net present value of this investment is $370,000. Yeah, I hope that you found this useful and that this framework might help you to build your own business case if needed. I encourage you, however, to read the full report or to use our associated tool to evaluate the potential ROI that your organization could obtain by deploying DM Express. I think just get in touch with SyncSort, and I'm sure they are more than happy to assist you. With this, I hand it back over to Ron for I think we still have some time for questions and answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sebastian. And it is time for the Q&A session. So again, as I mentioned earlier, if you have a question for either Sebastian, Jorge, or Noel, please address it to them, put their name first, and then ask the question, and I will get to as many questions as possible. We've got quite a few already. In fact, we'll start with the first one. Jorge, what type of companies would see the most benefit from a solution like DM Express? Is there a minimum data volume, particular industries, or other characteristics of a company that would get the biggest economic impact?
Well, this is actually a very good question. I guess the simple answer is any organization that is looking to accelerate the performance and also to lower the cost and the complexity of their data integration environment can benefit from it. What we've seen is that this includes certainly customers at the higher end of the market. This includes, for instance, healthcare, financial, telco, and data providers processing terabytes of data on a daily basis or even more. However, what we are finding a lot more often now is also that we're having a lot of success with medium businesses that need just a simple tool that can get the job done. And with simple, I mean, in many cases, the biggest challenge for mid-market organizations and SMBs is the ability to get the required skills and the ability to cope with increasing data volumes, with developing and maintaining SQL scripts, and you can see that from the results that Noel showed. So this is certainly an area where we have had a lot of success. So the key here is that I guess whether you think of yourself as a big data company or not, the reality is that most organizations now are facing similar challenges. The need for faster performance, the need for easier tools that can result in increased productivity, and also the need to get more things done with fewer resources.
I couldn't agree with you more, Jorge. In fact, obviously data volumes, no matter how big the company is, are just growing exponentially, so it's very important. Noel, the next question I have is for you. In your experience, do the benefits and costs identified in the study address challenges common to most organizations? Noel must have stepped away. Sebastian, would you handle it?
Oh, sorry. I'm here. Yeah. So absolutely. I guess the study reflects the challenges most organizations are facing, and typically we see performance issues, scale issues, cost issues dealing with data integration. So this study actually reflects upon those issues which customers face, and then also the whole data integration related issues like faster loading of data because the needs have changed, as well as dealing with large volumes of data, which I think is very important. I guess it's great to see SyncSort actually saving money. which I think is very important, especially when you're starting to scale out to many, many sources of data, and in improving the productivity and efficiencies of their staff and the data volumes, supporting the data volumes, the very large volumes, definitely I think helps a lot. And also I guess the ROI of 221%, which is pretty good actually in terms of organization deployments, and also the payback being less than 9 months. I think it's good to see that. So I guess, the biggest challenge I guess organizations have is getting the management buy-in into data integration implementations. So I would definitely encourage organizations to look at the Forrester TI study on SyncSort.
Excellent, excellent. Sebastian, next question for you. Did you find any common reasons the companies you interviewed chose DM Express?
Yes, indeed. I would say I have to think back into the interviews. There were some common reasons that why they had chosen DM Express. I think especially about two categories that I think all of the interviewed organizations mentioned to us. The first one is about the high performance, so the speed of aggregating data when they compared it to their legacy environment. And the second one is about this fast installation times, ease of deployment, ease of use. I remember that most of them told us that, about this fast learning curve for developers, and that they needed nearly no training. Some also mentioned price, but I think the most common reasons were really around high performance and fast installation, ease of use.
Excellent, excellent. Jorge, you mentioned benefits from eliminating staging. How does using DM Express eliminate staging?
That's a good catch. Getting a little bit more technical. So basically, when I mention staging, I'm referring specifically about something that has been known as best practices. And the fact is that in order to join disparate sources or heterogeneous data sources, like for instance a table and a file, most ETL tools had to first load those sources into an homogeneous staging area, and and then these kind of temporary staging tables are joined and eventually used to update the warehouse. Now, if we think about this method, it was mostly developed because the conventional ETL tools were not really very good at heterogeneous joins, and they got their performance by pushing the join down to the database. Now, if we think about this, this is a very expensive proposition because it requires a lot more database capacity and storage on the database, which is normally expensive. So what we do is we actually perform these joins in memory without the need for staging areas. We do it with our engine. And when memory is not enough, we can simply use fast disks on commodity hardware as a working space, which is significantly less expensive and faster than any other media.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, great presentations. We're getting near the top of the hour. This really will conclude our Q&A. If anyone in our audience would like to see the ROI that your organization might experience using the same methodology used in the Forrester study, you can visit www.syncsort.com/TEI and try out a quick and easy online calculator developed by Forrester and SyncSort. You can also download the full-length report of the Forrester study at this website. Also, if you have friends who were not able to participate and listen to this web seminar, it will be available on BitPipe, part of the BI network, and you'll be able to see the entire web seminar in its entirety. So that concludes our web event for today. I want to thank you, Jorge, Noel, and Sebastian for your insightful presentation, and thanks all of you for attending our web seminar today. Thank you.